Well, it's good to see it, Brian. And it seems like the rate and pace of change is accelerating for regulatory requirements in the market. And so how are companies preparing for these upcoming regular changes in both the automotive and food and beverage markets?
Hi, Anthony. Well, thanks. That's a great question. In food and beverage, the biggest thing we're seeing is FSMA, and specifically FSMA 204, which talks about allergens and recalls and how are we tracing all of that information. So the biggest point where we see we're losing point of contact is obviously point of purchase, because you don't know whose home it's going into. So one of the things that we're doing is we are adding content into Plex to help with that ability to recall, so that we can get material back much quicker in the incident that we need something brought back to the facility, so that it gets off the shelves quicker, back to the manufacturer quicker, and it doesn't get out into the general public for consumption. Because as we know, there are very few instances where if you buy a product where they actually have the ability to trace it to you and warn you about a recall. So there is a significant risk with that in the event that there is a food issue. On the automotive side, we're seeing some really different changes there. One is we know there's an ISO 9001 update, which does affect more than automotive, but that's going to lead into a likely IATF 16949 update. And the interesting thing about the IATF 16949 is not only is the document being updated, but they're also adding member companies. And just most recently, Volvo has been added to the IATF as a voting member, and that was end of 2023. So we're not only seeing that the change in the document is going to affect a lot of organizations, but the addition of additional OEMs to this panel is going to broaden the impact of IATF 16949 throughout the industry. And we know from a lot of organizations, as they prep just even for surveillance audits, many of them spend months to go ahead and make sure that their system is operating properly before the audit hits. And that's increasing expense, it's increasing time. So the biggest way to reduce that expense and reduce the amount of time you're spending on prepping for IATF and managing IATF is through digitalization. If you digitalize your QMS, now any changes you make can be made very quickly, but you're also, and as in the case of Plex, where we're compliant with IATF 16949, you have the tools in place that are going to guide you. It's not going to be an automatic, I have a system, it's going to make me. But you have the structure in place so that the content that you build is then IATF compliant and allows you to make those changes much quicker. So whether it's an update to the system or you have a customer that has joined up with the IATF, now it's much easier to expand either into that new customer's realm or to update based on the minor changes that may be coming with the upcoming revision for IATF 16949.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, these regulatory changes aren't just options, they're requirements. And so manufacturers have to stay on top of them. And like you mentioned, you need an automated, but also a fully closed loop quality management system to take you from, hey, here's what I think I need to do for compliance, through into the reporting, into the execution and governance, and then likewise root cause analysis. And you can read more about the quality regulatory impacts, what it means to you in the market in Chapter 3 in our Quality Management for Dummies. You can get a free copy by clicking the link included below.